So you have to establish an awareness of what hunger to you feels like, how it comes and goes, before you can actually go and say, okay, I'm going to go into this really awesome restaurant that I absolutely love, but always deny myself what I want. I'm going to go get what I want, and I'm going to allow myself the freedom and the grace to experience all of that narcotic pleasure and let that hedonic area of the brain light up on fire. And I'm going to hold myself accountable to eating to hunger. So when hunger is gone, even though that narcotic area is like, this is freaking amazing, that you're like, I don't have to continue because I can have it again later. If I get hungry again, you're not being deprived. The key is going into that environment without a sense of shame or impending deprivation. That's really important for you to explore this. So hopefully this week you got a taste of it.
Yeah, it was good. At the end of the week when I started really practicing, it was funny because when something tastes really good, you have to really be present because you just want to eat all of it.
Well, hold on, that's not necessarily true if you don't have shame or an impending diet. True. So what you're describing is someone who's been brainwashed through the diet cult. So you just need to know that you're right. Up until this point, that is what your experience has been, because you've been deprived and ashamed about what you're eating.
Okay, wait, say that again, though. Say that again. When I said, because that was important.
What you said was, yeah, but it's so hard when you eat these foods that are so good. You want to eat the whole thing. It's like, hold on. Well, that's true if you are in the cult. That's true because you're going to be deprived of it. And you're not supposed to have that pleasure. It's supposed to be bad. So under the influence of feeling bad or inadequate about eating a certain food, feeling like you have failed for eating that food, and combined with an impending famine or a sense of being deprived of this soon, you're going to eat the whole thing.
Okay.
The whole thing. That's why you have that impulse, right?
Yeah. You know, it's funny because I wasn't even connecting with that, but that's absolutely true. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, got it. Yay.
So that's why when the practice begins with no shame, no guilt, no food religion, no food indoctrination, you are to free yourself from all and every food fear you have ever been brainwashed with, so that you can get a real, authentic experience with those foods without the influence of shame, judgment, sense of failure, inadequacy, pressure to lose weight, having to be perfect. Do you see the difference? Like,
I do.
What do you think is going to happen to any human being under those pressures and emotional influences?
Oh my God, that's what I was doing. They're going to fail.
Well, fail relative to the rules. So you're human, and what we're talking about is evolutionary human psychology. You know, we have evolved over thousands and thousands of years, not just physically, but psychologically. And it's all a matter of survival of the fittest, right? And so one of the psychological attributes to our survival is to recognize that food is one of the most, if not the most important, next to sex and water, survival need. So if you have food, you are secure. You are very secure in terms of survival. If you don't have food, you're in trouble. Okay, I want you to think about what that alone can do inside your brain, to feel like you're being deprived of food. You have a limited amount of food that you can eat without feeling ashamed about yourself. So you're messing with your survival mechanisms.
Well, I think that's where binging comes from, don't you think so?
Of course, I have scientific data right here that talks about the link between shame. It doesn't have to be shame with food. I posted a link on that private Facebook group.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. I actually said this right here. It's on my Weight Loss Apocalypse page as well. But the link between shame and the impulse to eat. So if there is a vulnerability in a social environment, the brain is wired to seek safety. and security. So it's not uncommon for someone to feel that threat of survival to seek something that they feel is safe. And if your food is being threatened, if you feel as if a certain food has to be abolished from your life forever, what is the instinct then to do it when it's in your presence?
Oh, you got to eat all of it.
All of it. Okay, so if we tell you, and we say to you,
again.
Say that what?
Because you may not get it again. Well, you'll never. You're telling yourself at the time you're never going to eat it again, so you should eat it all now.
Correct, because I've already eaten it. You've already ruined it. You suck. So let's just stay in that suckiness for a while and at least enjoy this food and hoard it while you can. Because you know what?
Tomorrow will be better. Tomorrow will be better. We'll do it all. We'll be good tomorrow.
Not even just tomorrow. There will be a point in time I will never eat this again because it's bad.
Yeah. That gives me the EBGBs. That's the one I have to just the thought of deprivation, that was such a key thing for me. I mean, that's what it is. It's not the shame, it's the deprivation.
It's both.
For me.
Honey, you have to recognize there's two sides to that. They both, the shame is like you have failed. There's no hope for fixing this. There's that part.
Oh, okay, that's different. Okay, I got it.
That's
so
the beginning. That is the beginning. Wouldn't you agree that when you can look back at all of this, I have failed. I've ruined it. There's no hope for reconciliation at this point. Usually for people it's today, or it's during this period of time while we're in our cultural celebration, like the holidays, or during this summer while I'm going to be at the cabin, right? I might as well try to fix this when this is over. And then we make this weird assumption that when we lose the weight, it will be so amazing and rewarding that we'll never want to go back to those behaviors, which is freaking crazy. But we believe it. But we believe it. But that's what our guidance is telling us, right? How much guidance have you gotten that has said, once you lose the weight, look at me. I'm so happy. Look at me before. I was so miserable. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're being guided by the diet culture. And I you know what? What's more influential to you at this point? Is it the Jenny Craigs? Is it the Weight Watchers? Or is it the food mongering that's on social media?
What do you mean the food mongering?
Fear. You can't eat these foods. Let me tell you how bad these foods are for you. And they isolate a specific food and tell you all of this data that says this is why you're fat. What is more influential to you and how your brain is wired right now? Is it the Jenny Craigs? Is it the Weight Watchers? Is it the, Slim Fast? Is it all of those?
It's probably the food mongering. That's what it probably. Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
the food mongering, and you could say, well, do they know that that's what they're doing?
I have to honestly think that the individuals that are working with the client aren't cognizant of that. But at a corporate level, they've got to have some sense of what they're doing.
Well, they do know that fear is an incredibly manipulative emotion, and creating a sense of urgency is also very manipulative, but it's only manipulative to people who are insecure, who are feeling like they need something to tell them what to do. Similar to when I was in college seeking someone's opinion so that I knew how to dress, so I knew how to talk and what was cool and what music to listen to, right? I needed that. So I gravitated towards the most opinionated people who are usually the most narcissistic, right? Because they believe that.
Well, you just described, though, I mean, you think about just about every woman that you know that's in their 20s, they're all insecure. So there's a huge environment in which we get started so early in our teens and our 20s, right? Believing this.
And there's plenty of 40 and 50-year-olds that are still 16 emotionally.
Yeah, well, I'm 13, so yeah.
And I was 4 when I was 4 years old when I was.
I'm not even allowed. We're not even allowed to drive yet.
So I honestly don't think that people who are believe in that, they don't realize that what they're doing is actually, well, but here's the thing. I mean, even if I said, well, there's some truth to that information,
Mm-hmm.
why would I use so much fear to present it? Doesn't that kind of tell you the integrity of the person presenting it? Like, are they trying to manipulate you into following them? Is it a controlling tactic? Are they trying to control you? Is it brain control? Do they want you to join their club, maybe convince you that their religion is better than the rest? That this is the place you need to go to be safe? To me, using fear as a way to teach information is a sign that someone at the top has an ego. They like the power. They want more people. It's really about power.
Well, and I guess they can always fall back on, this is the sad part, they can always fall back on, well, people have choice. People, they're not twisting anyone's arm and making them do it.
Well, and that's true. But that's true.
That is true.
But unfortunately, someone, let's just say like yourself over the years, who's really struggled and believed a lot of that fear.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm not saying that the information, take the fear out of the information and take the statistical skewing out of it, and let's just look at the information. It's probably a big body of evidence that says that, eating too much sugar and eating too much starch over a chronic period of time is why we have disease.
Yeah.
But they don't present it that way.
No.
They present it like you ate it now and you have disease now. Your kids are going to die. This is a threat. You know what I'm saying?
Create that fear.
So it's not to say, okay, take the bias and the shaming and the fear and the manipulation of the business out of it. It's probably good information. However, you don't have that discernment because you're seeking a resolution to your body image, your body image insecurity. Right? You feel I'm unworthy as a human being because I have fat, and that makes me so much less than what I could be. If I was thin, I would be praiseworthy, and people will see me as like someone that, hey, use me as an example. Look at me, I'm thin and healthy, right? You then gravitate to that type of extremism and that type of fear, thinking that's what's gonna save me. That's what's gonna provide me this emotional security that I feel void of, right? So it's a perfect match, right? So we have huge parts of our culture who have issues with binge compensation, binging with shopping, binging with sex, porn, gambling, addiction to narcotics, food addictions, right?
Yep.
There is so much social science out there that's showing this isn't rocket science. This is human psychological and physiological evolution to survival. When someone feels inadequate and insecure, they are going to compensate through a form of security. They're going to try to find something that feels secure. Food is a big one.
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
And so is sex. And to women, that means body image. That means sexual appeal. For men, it is having it. For women, it is being sexually appealing. So the food issue is so huge because it's not just one dimensional. It's multi-dimensional in terms of the meaning it provides to you. And not just the meaning of getting food, but the meaning of not eating it. Because starving yourself gives you that route to sexual appeal, which is part of your nature in your brain.
Yeah.
So, the solution, let go of all of it. Let go of this need to be physically approvable, right? Approve of yourself. That's the only way you're going to give yourself the freedom to then relearn what food's all about, right? Learn how your body really talks to you. If you get rid of the shame and the guilt and the hoarding and the desire to starve yourself and to restrict choices and to control, if you relieve yourself of all of that and you learn to be guided by your body and you're truthful about that guidance, you're going to realize very quickly, like you already have, that a lot of the information that's leading masses of people is wrong. It's just, it's naive to psychology and social science, but it's also friggin' ignorant.
Yeah. It is, absolutely. So given that you've worked with so many people on this, and so many people have to make this same journey, I mean, I get that that's what it is. It's a journey, right? My body can't fix itself till, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you have to get yourself to follow it. True.
Exactly. And so I was laughing at myself because I was like, okay, so I'm looking at the food part, but my brain keeps wanting to go back. And I'm like, oh, well, it's not the food dogma. But no, it is. It's the body image thing. It's the body, like, so there's pieces of it that keep creeping in.
Yeah.
And there's that continual disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess my question is, in the people that you work with, how long does it take people usually to make that connection? Or do you just fight it for the rest of your life? Because, I mean, I get the food thing, but then other stuff slips in. You're like, where did that come from?
The body image idealism.
Yeah, and it's huge.
That's like saying, well, it's as huge as you want it to be, and it's as huge as you like believe it to be, because it's really not huge.
Okay, well, it's
like
huge
that's
in
an
my
illusion
life.
in your
You know
mind.
what I mean?
I just want you to know that.
Got it.
I have to make sure you're aware when you said that you assume that I believe the same thing you do, and it's like, okay. That's like saying to me, having a ton of money is a really big deal. Like, how do I like let go of my desire to drive a friggin' Jaguar? I don't know how to do it, Robin.
And you're like, well, I don't have that same desire, so
it's not a big deal to me, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I used to have that. I used to believe you. I used to be like, yeah, we should all be driving Jaguars. Why can't we just have one? I don't believe that anymore. I used to, right? But I don't. I don't believe that's true. So it's really a matter of time is a matter of you realizing and you recognizing that having that ideal body based around the illusion of being worthy, being accomplished, feeling safe, that safety that your brain believes.
Mm-hmm.
How much time does that take? It's as long as it takes for you to say it's bullshit. Like, wow, I do not believe this anymore. I don't need to have that to be successful and to be loving and caring and genuine and to actually make an impact. You have to look at what do you perceive that you're gaining from that ideology? You need to be very clear about what you're gaining from that. Like, write it down. What is this? Why is this so elusive?
Well, I definitely need to do that. But the one thing that I think, and I don't know if other people feel this way, but I always feel like things have a linear progression.
Yeah,
right?
That right there is why you're stuck.
Exactly, because I'm looking at this and I'm going, all right, so if I'm eating to hunger, then my body's going to have a chance to fix itself. Everything's going to work out. And I know, and I've felt this since, as long as I can remember, that the weight that I have, it's like a coat that I'm wearing. Like, that's not really who I am.
Well, so what are you then? Who are you really then?
Well, I mean, my body is more agile. Who I really am is I'm an athlete, but not the way I look now, not the way I feel now.
So you're identifying that you are something other than what you have.
Exactly.
Okay, did you hear what I just said?
Yeah.
So I want you to look in the mirror. Is this what you have?
Yeah, but I don't want that.
Okay.
That's what I'm struggling. Yeah, that's what I'm struggling. Like, I get it's just there's.
Okay, so this comes back to I know what you're saying. You're like, I cannot accept this. That's fine. Then you need to accept having to diet.
Oh my gosh.
For the rest of your life. Until you get what you think that is. Until you look in the mirror and go, that's me. Whatever the illusion is, you better.
Seriously.
Yeah, you kind of need to diet. You kind of need to be a food. You need to be afraid of food, and you need to be on top of it. Do you see that?